Good day, welcome, good day, my good and my patrons. I'm sorry for the pulling down of the earlier video on this series, which is as a result of some technical problems from the technical end, whether it is sabotage or whatever, but I have decided to redo it the way the technical advisors want it to appear. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a part 3 of our series interrogating Anioma identity in respect of Ibuso, Edo, Benin relationship in matters of customs and tradition, including Ibuso history. Today, our main topic is the Ibuso burial rites or burial ceremony. But before then, there are matters arising, as is normally the case. Whenever I make my presentation, certain questions often arose, which demand urgent attention before proceeding to the next level. So here today, we have 5 matters arising. The first is the new love of Obuzor of Ibuso, His Royal Majesty will be Professor Louis Moorbosch. His newfound love with Anioma State Creation Movement, of which he has not been part of it for a long time. Second, the traditional rights and privileges of the Ubu title holders in Ibuso, which arose out of my earlier statement over the reckless adornment of the red cap by those who are not traditionally qualified to do so. The third is the Ukwela of Ibuso and the issue of the Kengoha and the authenticity of the Ukwele title vis-a-vis the man who claims to hold it today. The fourth being the link between Ibuso salutations, village salutations as I presented it earlier, with Ibuso history and, let me not, with Ibuso origin, history, and origin, if such salutations are aligned with Ibuso history and tradition, or they are just there for the social, just for the social relevance of it, and so on and so forth. So today we are going to look how far are these greetings linked with a people's history or Ibuso history. Then the finally we are going to look at the personal names of Ibuso people, and of course, if possible, some common names in order for us to ascertain their origins, the etymology, because oftentimes I face the not embarrassing, but the often negative confrontation by my Southeast brothers who often query our Neoma identity or our Neoma so-called denial of Igbo identity when we bear names, when we bear Igbo names. So the question is, how can you be bearing Igbo name and you are claiming not to be of Igbo origin? The truth is that more than, as far as Ibuso is concerned, most of them don't know that more than half of the names Anema people bear today are not Igbo. They are mainly Edo, some Igala, and so on and so forth. So we're going to use Ibuso as a case study. Coming to the first aspect of it, they are the first matter arising. I can say that the Obuzor's newfound love with the creation, with the movement for the creation of Anioma state is founded on mercenary objectives. In other words, the Obuzor was actually employed to do certain jobs to fulfill the political interests, the political objectives of two people, Nwoko, Senator Ned Nwoko, and Innocent Esewes, the current chairman of Oshimiri North local government area. We should be, should be noted that Senator Nwoko, in his pursuit of Anioma State for Southeast Geopolitical Zone, had a problem of having credible Anioma traditional rulers behind him. This has been his problem. Even his own Idumuju Uboko town traditional ruler has not been with him. They've not been in talking terms, and so on and so. So that has been his problem. How would he get Anioma traditional rulers to back him up? And that was how, especially after the His Royal Majesty, the Asaba of Asaba, Obi Professor Epifana Azinge, had made his position on the issue of Anioma State for South-South known to public, known to the public, and even personally driving it direct on the face of Senator Ned Nwoko. So Nwoko's problem, or his relating problem, how would he confront the Asaba of Asaba? Of course, the only traditional ruler, all the traditional rulers in his Anocha North local government area, nobody except whom he finally caught, the traditional ruler, the Obi of Idumuje Uno, His Royal Majesty, Obi Anyasi III, whom he employed to go on TV and announce that Anioma people are Igbo, and so they should go to Igbo of the Southeast. But of course, people like me and some other people had to challenge him publicly and inform me that even his Idumuju Boko town, his Idumuju town is made of Benin and Asian origins and no Igbo origins. So you cannot be a Benin and Asian man and be dictating to other people or be determining for other people their ethnic identity in Delta State. That also proved to Nwoko that Obi Anyasi lacks the credibility, the onions to now fall in as the authentic traditional ruler to back him up in his quest to drag Anema people to Southeast. Now, moving around with Obi Anyasi demolished in that aspect, with his questionable status in that, especially with respect to the crisis in the kinship crisis in Idumuju Boko. Nwoko started looking around and then came to Ibusa, and he felt that the Obuzor of Ibusa, His Royal Majesty Obi Louis Chelun Onwobosh, Obi Professor Louis Chelun Onwobosh, will be the right person to stand in and confront the Asaba of Asaba, or nullify whatever stance the Asaba of Asaba has taken. And of course, maybe seeing Ibusa, through the looking glass of Asaba traditional rivalry, Asaba's traditional rivalry, but I think he got it wrong. But he went ahead on major grounds. First, Nwoko believes that getting the Obuzor of Ibusa will now force me, the Odogwu of Ibusa, into retreat from standing on my ground, possibly because the Obuzors, because he felt that being the Obuzor of Ibusa, Obi Professor Nwoboshi cannot direct me on what to say, and maybe tell me I should follow him. And well, the way they think in their own Idumuju Boko, and so on and so forth. Secondly, he felt that taking over the position of Obi, or taking Obi Professor Chelun Nwoboshi on his side, when I mean taking over Ibusa town, the home base of Senator Peter Nwoboshi. These were his two targets. Unfortunately, he doesn't know, Senator Nwoko does not know how Ibusa works politically. both in modern terms and in traditional terms. And to do this, he employed the present local government chairman of Osun North local government area, Mr. Innocent Isewuze, who is facing political crisis of survival, following the campaign of the state governor to APC, where Senator Peter Mwabosh had already enthroned, had already established himself as a force. And the point is that with the governor joining APC, Mr. Innocent Ezewuza now saw his ambition of contesting in 2027 for the Delta State House of Assembly. He saw it virtually cancelled, because the onus or the power or the privilege of selecting anybody for that position lies on the leader of the local government area, who is Senator Peter Mwabosh. And so Mr. Sewuze now believed that by aligning with Nwoko and Obuzor, he will now prove to the people that Nwoko has taken over Oshimiri North from Peter Mwabosh, from Senator Peter Mwabosh. But the issue is that, can Mr. Innocent Isewuze contest the political leadership of Oshimiri North local government, not including Ibusa, with Peter Mwabosh? Can he do it? It's not possible, because Peter Mwabosh made him. I was there. I was present when his late father, when Isewuze's late father brought him, led him with a giant goat, brown goat with a beard, long beard, and handed over to Senator Peter Mwabosh, pleading with him to take Isewuze as his political son. And the first test was Senator Peter Mwabosh asking Honorable O-Level Okonji to step down as a councillor. And Isewuze waiting for second, and that was one of the first steps. And so Peter Mwabosh made him. And the nature of Ibusa politics is not the type somebody like Isewuze just for seeing money, swimming on free cash from the local government allocation, which have never been experienced by any local government chairman before him, thinking that with that he can contest the political leadership with Senator Peter Mwabosh. That was wrong. And also thinking that the Obuzor of Ibusa has a capacity to overturn the position of the Asaba of Asaba with respect to Anioma position, also became a I think it's an untenable assumption. It's an assumption that Nwoko actually ran into conflict with, because Senator Ned Nwoko does not understand the way Ibusa works, and Isewuze too appears to be overwhelmed with the rabble-rousing experience of those following him for the little money that comes out from the local government coffers, and he now thinks that he's in charge of Ibusa political leadership, and so he can contest with Peter Mwabosh. But Ibusa doesn't work that way. Whatever addition Isewuze made to the development of Ibusa as a local government area, that is welcome, just as other people had also contributed. But that does not give him the right to now assume as a political leader of Ibusa. Ibusa has a tradition of political leadership, and Isewuze is not yet matured to fit into that leadership. At the appropriate time, Ibusa will decide who is their political leader. And of course, as I'm speaking today, whatever people take Peter Mwabosh to be, Peter Mwabosh still remains the political leader of Oshimiri North local government area. And in terms of politics, he still remains the number one in Ibusa in terms of political leadership. So Isewuze aligning with Senator Ned Nwoko and employing Obuzor of Ibusa to play the yeoman against the Asaba of Asaba will not go anywhere, especially now that the local government chairman, 9 local government chairman of Oshimili North, and the 9 members of House of Assembly of Oshimili North have also taken their decision that Anioma State is for South-South and not for South and not for Southeast. And here, Mr. Innocent Esewele Dalema now lies, because his earlier strategy of using Nwoko to upstage Peter Nwaboshi and possibly using the Obuzor to upstage the Asaba of Asaba in respect to that position no longer works. Because in terms of, I'm not trying to be, people can say anything. It's not a question of being patriotic or not being patriotic. But as far as we are concerned, the Obuzor of Ibuzo, this Professor Chelino, cannot compete with Asaba of Asaba in that respect. Even traditionally, within Oshimili North local government area, say for the size of Ibuzo town as the most populous town in the local government area. Traditionally, the Obuzor of Ibuzo is a link in ranking of all traditional rulers in that Oshimili North local government area. And I don't know the situation with the new edict now over the ranking of chieftaincy, ranking of traditional rulers now in Delta State. But originally, the instituted traditional ruler of Oshimili North, who is a permanent representative of Oshimili North local government area in Delta State House of Delta State Traditional Rulers Council, is Obi King David of Akuku. He has been the sole representative of Oshimili North local government area in Delta State Traditional Rulers Council. So in terms of ranking in Delta State, vis-a-vis Oshimili North, the Obi of Akuku is number 1. So employing Obi Chelo Nwabosh to go to Channels TV to talk about Aniom Oshimili when everything has been settled by other people, it's kind of putting the cart before the horse. It has no effect in that respect. As far as we are concerned, the major traditional rulers have spoken, and we know where they stand. The Asaba of Asaba has spoken, the Obi of Iseloku has spoken, and of course, there are certain traditional rulers that Ned Nwoko cannot meet. Nwoko cannot go to the of Abo and then tell him, oh, you have to take Delta State. You have to take Anioma people to Southeast. He can't say that if he can go to Akadegidi of Umunede, whom I know personally, just as also know the Obi of Owa. Just as I know him personally, he knows me personally. He cannot. These are people with something in their head. These are celebrate traditional rulers. You cannot come in with your scam, with your political scammer mentality, and think you cannot drag them to go and to go and join the Southeast. With what pedigree do you think you have, Nwoko? Senator, no, because I don't see the way the man, I'm still trying to phantom the way the man carries himself up for just one-term election as a senator. And he feels he can dictate to Anioma people where to go and where not to go. So the Obuzor of Ibuzo is that a mercenary objective, a mercenary venture. Let him collect his money. Let him go and relax. Because whatever action he's going, whatever action he's taking now has already been overtaken by events. That is with respect to the case of the Obuzor of Ibuzo. He's on his own. Ibuzo people did not send him. Ibuzo people did not ask him to support Nwoko, because as we said, as I pointed out earlier, assuming the position of the chairman of the technical committee is a roguish adventure, which is intended to tarnish not only the image of Ibuzo, but the cordial relationship between Ibuzo and Asaba people. Because what it means is that Ibuzo people are in support of the transfer of the capital of the future Aniomas, the present capital of stripping the status of capital from Asaba in the future Anioma state, if ever to be created. Because people like me, I do not support the creation of Anioma state. And as I've said it earlier, there are grounds for that. Anioma people, we gain more, we gain more economically by remaining in Delta State, current Delta State, than in their own Anioma state. Anioma people too were considerate. We cannot leave Delta State for the Robo to now take other ethnic groups like Ishekiri, Isoko, and Ejo as their toys, as their political toys, because we are the balancing, we are the balancing ethnic group, the balancing senatorial group in Delta State today. That makes it impossible for any ethnic group to dominate entirely every other ethnic, every other ethnic group here in Delta State. So we cannot just leave Delta State and allow other people. We should also have consideration over the other groups who might suffer if we leave the present Delta State. So these are one of the economic reasons we gain more by staying in Delta State than in our Anioma state. Secondly, we cannot afford to leave our other ethnic groups who might suffer under Urobo domination. So these are my major reasons. Then coming to the issue of to the second issue of what am I talking about? That is the second matter arising in there. We're not talking about the traditional rights and privileges of Ubu title holders. As I said earlier, the Ubu title taken is universal among Anioma people. Universal as a warrior court, a warrior society. But their privileges vary from town to town. For example, in the case of Asaba, an Ubu title holder is not permitted to put on the red cap, just as you do it in Ibusa and other areas. But here in Ibusa, the Ubu title holder is permitted to put on the red cap, but with certain provisos. Number one, you put on the red cap during the period of your initiation. Secondly, you put on the red cap during the time for the burial of an Obu member, which we call Inebunu Napo. Thirdly, you put on the cap during the meeting of your Otuobo, your 8th grade meetings. If you are going for your 8th grade meeting, you are permitted to put on the red cap to your 8th grade meeting, whereby that rank you now hold the rank of a senior or an elder of your Otuobo, no matter the position of your age among the group. Fourthly, you put on the red cap during the period of Ichupu Ekwensu or Ine Eshishe, when the Kwele during Ine Eshishe. So you put on the red cap from the time Ikwele declares the Ine, declare the period of Ine festival on, till the time when the last village celebrates the Ine, and that's Obowele. Obowele normally celebrates the Ine last. Unfortunately, most villages today no longer celebrate the Ine as we used to do it. And this is one of the fault lines of Ibuzo customs and tradition. Some of our traditional rights, we try to build a sense of unity, try to reenact what there's that is our attachment to our town, to our history, to our people. Some of them we are now, so some of them are now being gradually abandoned because of the decadent level of our town, and so on and so forth. So that's the period the Obu man, somebody with Obu can also put on the cap. Fifthly, If an Obu man is going out of Ibuso on official duty, official traditional duty, like going for burial in another town or going for wedding, traditional wedding in another town, or or being part of a delegation, traditional delegation, or Oko, what we call Oko, to another town, the Obu member is required to put on the red cap. That is within the time the woman can put on the red cap. And that's also what permits the woman to even put on the red cap in the presence of, during his father's lifetime. That is, if his father is not an Eze title holder, but he's an Obu title holder, he can put on the cap on, while his father has no traditional right, no customary right to put it on. Sorry. So that is one of the areas where the Obuman has the privilege. There are other ones again. Let's even say, say this one again. The Obuman also, apart from putting on the cap, because for us who are Olinsele, the cap, the red cap forms the inner gear of our major cap, Ubuli. We put on Odogu, the wall of the years, they put on Ubuli. Why do Omu put on Obuata? So, but underneath the Ubli and the Obuata is a red cap. That is what we call. But in being that the Ubli is more generally a ceremonial hat, we don't normally put always. So we are permitted to go ahead with the inner cap, which is this red cap. Why we put on the red cap? That's for the war chiefs. That's for the war chiefs of Ibuzo. Then for other people to put on red cap, the other time you can also put on the red is through the burial of an Eze title holder. You can put on the cap during the burial of an Eze title holder, the Okanga, and that's for the Eze title holders, children or relatives who are performing, who are the official mourners of the man during that period, both first and second burial. They are permitted to put on the red cap. The Obu man, the children of or the mourners, when Obu man dies too, during the period of Inebunu Nakbo, during the Inebunu Nakbo ceremonies too, the Obu man's children or siblings or relatives who are part of the official mourners are also required to put on the red cap. That's it. But there are other privileges that Obu man also gets if you take Obu title. And this is area I skipped earlier unknowingly, but which I've been asked to just reiterate. If you take an Obu, that Obu in Ibuzo is regarded as Ezenta, lower king or lower as a title holder, because almost the processes of taking as a title is what what an Obu man goes through, except that an Obu man does not go to Udo or tie ankle rings. But there are also some privileges the Obu man has, which the Eze, which the Eze title holder doesn't have. For example, if the Obu man has a right to take a drink with his left hand in public, no man has right to take his drink with left hand in public. Only somebody who has taken the Obu title to take his drink with left hand, except those from Ezuku quarters. Unless from your Ezuku quarters, no other village can do it. So the Obu man and members of Ezuku quarters are the only people permitted by custom, Ibuzo custom, to take their drink with their left hand in public. The Obu man also is entitled to kola nut with 3 lobs, what we call Oji King or Oji Ibato. Like if you come to a meeting, a town meeting, and the elder breaks a kola nut and the kola nut is 3 lobes, what he will do is to keep it as around, give it to the next Obu man around who will take it. If no Obu man is there, somebody from his school will take the kola nut. And so Oji Bato kola nut of 3 lobes is not eaten as a public kola nut in Ibuzo. It is reserved for those who took the Obu title or people from Ezugbo to take it. And again, the other privilege for Obu man in Ibuzo is that if they kill cow, if they kill cow in Ibuzo or in your village, before they start sharing the meat, they will bring out a portion for Obu people called Anuakame, blood-stained hand, at least in compensation as a warrior. So your hand is stained with blood in war. So you are given a special portion of meat as an Obu man before they will now start sharing, and you now go to your own turn to take. So whenever they kill a cow in Ibuzo, the Obu man there will take 3 portions. We take 2 portions. One Anuakame, the blood-stained hand portion, and one for within his right as within his age. For example, as an Odoguna, when they kill meat, I first take the one as Ubu man, Anuakame. Then I wait for my turn, my age, to take my rightful portion. After taking my rightful portion, the winner come and give me special meat, what they call to Idoziano Odogu, that is to put Odogu's meat in order. So they add more. So I take 3 portions when they're sharing meat in the village. So these are some of the privileges. And once you become an Otobutu, when you become an Obu member, you're exempted from Okulegwe. In other words, you're exempted from manual labor, even if your age is within the age of manual Okulegwe. So you are not you're exempted from doing any manual labor in Ibuzo. That is as an Obu man. As an Obu man, you're also not permitted to climb palm tree, because you are virtually an easy title in that respect. So the Obu people enjoyed a lot of rice. The Obu man can also take a small. He can find anybody who fights within his compound, within his compound, within his umunna. Any person who commits affray or whatever, he has right to find them. A maximum of 1 farm. See, the Obu man in Ibuzo has his own privileges. He also has his own restrictions, because most of the restrictions that go with as a title holder also they go with the Ubu people. You also have to be highly moral in character, speaking the truth and not giving to lies and not leading to reckless life and so on and so forth. So it inculcates a sense of discipline and moral alertness, moral courage on any member of the title. So these are what goes with Ubu title holder in Ibuzo. Then going to the issue of the Ikwele title. Let me make it known that the Ikwele title, the duty of installing whoever is the Ikwele of Ibuzo lives with the Idumu Ikwele, and it is contingent on position of the King Goha, the main war court of Ibuzo town. And today, the man that is authentically crowned the Ikwele of Ibuzo, according to the customs and tradition of Ibuzo people, is retired custom assistant superintendent of customs, Chief Paul Onochia. He has the position of the king. So he is the authentic Ikwele of Ibuzo and not the current person. Sorry, Mr. Celestine Oseneku Okafo, who paraded as Ikwele of Ibuzo, and who was created within that 419 scammers axis created by Fred Ajidua, where he gathered all his 419 boys and tried to install them as traditional rulers. And that's just how Ikwele, the man who claims to be Ikwele, Celestine Okafo, that was how he emerged. And that explains why Celestine Ikwele cannot set his eyes on Ikengoha today. because it's not the authentic Ikwele of Ibuso. So that with respect to that. Then coming to the link of our greetings to our traditional greetings. As I said earlier, in Ibuso, we have more villages with Benin-based greetings, Benin-based salutation than Igbo. Like in Ibuso, the only 2 villages that go with Igbo salutations are my village, Ezuku, Okuenshine, and Omuwagu, Okuenshine. But even in my town, in my village, we have Ajie. And as you know that Ajie is associated with Igala from Ajie, and Ajie appears to be the national salutation of all the Ndokwa and Kwale people, Ndokwa or Okwane and Indo-Simile people. Ajie is their national salutation. And to us, Ajie is also our salutation. Ajie Alika is the official salutation of Ezuku people before we now introduce Ezuku, before we now introduce Okuenshine as a consequences of the war with Benin Kingdom. And that Ajie was brought to us by the Abo Umudiokolo, the Abo people who actually came from that zone, that Ndokwa zone. So they brought the Ajie to us. So that is the historical link. Can also Umuesagu Okuenshin Igbo, but all other villages have Benin greetings, except again Umuesagu, which has Oboli, which is from Onoja Obuni, which is Igala. But the rest, their major greetings from Umezo Odua to Oboli, Akue, Isama, and Oba, to Umodafe Ede, to Idini Saba Ajie, to Umueka Omogu, to Umweha Ogene, to Ubowele Oba, and other, Umosoma Oba, and so on and so forth. Since Ubowele has no unified greeting, Ume Sodua too, and so on and so forth. These are all related foreign, not Igbo, but mainly Benin title taking. So, and you can say, let's even take the titles. Let's take even Idini Saba for first time, as an instance. Their greeting is Ajie, which is Igala. But then Idi is Benin. Asagba is Benin. And their own mother, the progeny, the mother of Idini Asagba is named Nkwaka, which is Isan. Because they will always say that their own mother, Nkwaka, was from Isan, a princess of Isan kingdom. So you can say that now, if Nkwaka was Isan, who was Asagba, who were Asagba and Idi? Were they Igbo, or were they Isan as well, or Benin as well? These are some of the emerging facts that even demands that it is time for people of Ibuso to start interrogating the origin of their names, village names, the origin of their town, the origin of their village names, the source of the origin of their salutations, and so on, and its linkage or significance to their origins and to their culture, and so on and so forth. That is why it is very, very necessary at this time. So every greetings of such must have some historical significance, either connecting to the history of those people, or connecting or origin of those people, or to an episode in their history. To an episode in their history. Just as we now talk about Umu Ozoma. Ozoma, yes. Ozoma came from Benin, and the greeting of Umu Ozoma is what? The greeting is Oba. And then we have another part of Oboli greeting, especially from Umodogu. They also greet Oba. So why are these two people greeting Oba? Ozoma case, Obole, Ozoma Obole, their own is established, but Ozoma is Benin. But then how did the Inri village there decided to co-opt the same Oba as their salutation. The reason is that the source actually came from marriage. That when Ozoma died, his wife Anase was young, and so the people wanted somebody to marry marry the lady, but no Ibuso man could marry the woman, but because no Ibuso man can marry the Anase, the first wife of an Eze title holder. The reason is that before an Anase is married, the husband performs ritual marriage on her, which we call Ikoisimo. And when that ritual marriage is carried out on such a person, no other Ibuso man can sleep with such a person. Any man from Ibuso who sleeps with such a woman will be ostracized for life. Not just ostracized for life or banished. Such a person cannot enter his family's compound. It is a tradition that exists today. And that Isimo, if you also married under the Isimo Isimo marriage rights, such rights stops the woman from divorcing the wife. Oftentimes, oftentimes in Ibuzo, if somebody marries a beautiful wife, a wife who appears to be wayward, what the man just does is to perform the ritual marriage rite on that woman in addition to the original marriage. Or what we do is to just cut unknowingly to her, cut a lump of her hair and announce that she has performed Isimo marriage on her. And once it goes to the hearing of people, that woman remains perpetually married to him without the chance of getting divorced or without the chance of allowing another man to have an affair with her. So that has been the situation. So when it's about the only people who can marry an Isimo, there are people from Ogboli who are considered not to be, who are considered as in people. They can take anything we consider Ibuzo people consider as aloe. They can eat it and so on and so forth. So it was then that they saw a man called Lazarus who was very lazy. He was not able to get a wife. He was lazy because those days, if you are not, when you are not powerless to farm and fend for yourself, it was difficult for you to get a wife. But your people could also help you to get a wife so that they can take care of you under that traditional social system of Omunna. So Ozoma's wife was now betrothed to Lazarus from Ogboli. And Lazarus finally married Ozoma, married that Ozoma's wife, and then named him Odogu, because to him, having married the wife of Aneze, Ozoma, a late Ozoma, that had made him Odogu, and so he named his son Odogu, who now begot all the present Umodogu village in Ogboli quarters. And Odogu village subsequently adopted Oba Kwesili as their salutation. Oba Kwesili means that you deserve the title, you deserve to be Oba, your title of Oba. That's their greeting. That was how both Obodogu and in fact the entire Oba seems to have been adopted by the whole Ogboli people now, including Aku and Isama, which are also Benin, to being adopted as a general salutation. So that was how you can see the historical link of that salutation. And even when you go to Benin, let's even take, for instance, the case of Benin. Today, let's take the ESA. The ESA's ESA Benin salutation is Igbo oriented. Well, it's, I think, what is it? Love Bieze. They say, you are king, Eze. But how did it come about that the official greeting of ESA of Benin today and all the families is Labi Eze? The issue is that because Labi Eze means, oh, you are king, or I respect you, king. Eze is king in Igbo. So, wow. But the reason is that The third Iyase of Benin Kingdom, Order Oba Orobwe, was from Onitsha-Olona in the present Anocha North local government area, named Ezene Ubodikem from Onitsha-Olona. He was the third Iyase of Benin Kingdom under Oba Orobwe. It was then he adopted that greeting. And that greeting now became the greeting for successive Iyase of Benin up to this moment. So you can see the link, the historical link between the title of Iyase and his salutation, which we now trace to Onitsha-Olona in the present Delta State, Ezechima clan. So at times, when people talk about Ezechima, when people question the tradition of Ezechima, origin, migration, and so on, for us historians, we don't see the way people see it on face value because his name is Ezechima. It's not possible. But here, the Benin history recorded it that the third Iyase of Benin Kingdom under Borogwe was from Onitsha-Olona. And he introduced the name, the greeting, Lavie Eze, for Iyase today. And that is what every member of Iyase family, that's the greeting they adopt. And let us even look at it. The present Obaseki, who was the former governor of Edo State, Obaseki is the father of his great-great-grandfather, Ago Obaseki, who was Iyase in the first turn, in the second decade of 20th century. Ago Obaseki, the very close friend to Obo Ovareme. His father migrated from Nsukka in Anocha South local government area. His father migrated from there, but the issue is that they were already settled there before the father migrated back to Benin, where they now live. And how did they do it? His ancestors, his ancestor there was contesting for the Obiship, the kingship of Nsukka Kingdom. And they had the problem as usual. They now moved to Benin for settlement. And his ancestor lost. And he was told to stay in Benin. While the winner now went to Nsukka and then lived there. So but in spite of that, the Obaseki family still maintain their linkage, their historical linkage with Nsukka town. That they are directly related to the present Nsukka royal family. And the same Obaseki family, their greeting is Lavieze. And the same Obaseki family has already produced 2 years from Ago Obaseki to Gaius Obaseki. So that is the dynamics of Benin relationship with Anioma people, which it takes a professional historian to decipher properly and not to depend on peripheral permutations by those who are not trained in that field. And let us even look at it now, because Obaseki is there living. They've not denied. He's still now he's having problem with the Oba of Benin over the artifacts brought and so on and so forth. And his history is being recounted with their Nsukka connection. It's being recounted in Benin now as we are talking about it. So it's not just a question of people coming to say, oh, the Anioma people don't have any relationship with Benin because they're speaking Igbo and so they are not Benin. It doesn't go that way. Let us even look at the issue of the Ezomo of Benin. The Ezomo of Benin, his greeting is what? Is Lavie, Lavie, it's Lagie Esan, not Lavie. Lagie Esan. I am from Esan. Because the Ezomo, who was now handed over the right to make the position to make the position, to make it hereditary, was from Esan. Ishan, Esan. The Zomo was from Esan. And for that reason, he chose his salutation like Yesan. I am Esan. That's the greeting of the Zomo of Benin today, like Yesan. So he's recounting his origin through that salutation, like Esan. I'm from Esan. He's from Esan. And even the ESA of Udo, that is the ESA under the Zomo. His own is Lie N1, because it's from Onwan local government area. Lie N1, from Onwan, that was where he originated. So in Benin, most greetings, like the Oba of Benin is it Lamogun? That's the official salutation of the Oba of Benin, Lamogun, and other royal families. Where? Because they traced their route to Ife. And there you have the Ogun, deity of war. Ogun, deity of war and iron smelting. So that is one. And the Oba of Benin being the commander-in-chief, is the commander-in-chief is directly linked with that war, Ogun war deity, and so on and so forth. So that is part of reenacting one's ancestral linkage, one's particular episode in history, and one's relationship with another group through salutations. So every salutation in Ibusa has its own significance in one way or the other. So it's not a question of telling Ede, you just answer Ede, a dog, without knowing the meaning of Ede, without knowing how it came about. Where you are answering Odafe, Odafe. Who was Odafe? Odafe. Was Odafe an Igbo name? Is Odafe an Igbo name? If Odafe is not an Igbo name and is Benin name, was Odafe an Igbo man or a Benin immigrant in Ibuso? These are the questions we have to ask ourselves in certain, in certain situations when we're interpreting the history of a people, especially with respect to Ibuso. So names, the names we bear, the salutations also, our salutation, group salutation, also determines our root in history. And that's the case of Ibuso. And when we are looking at such villages as Idi, Asagba, so we ask ourselves, who was Idi? Who was Asaba? And why was their mother Nkwaka from Asia? So if their Nkwaka, their mother, was from Asia, who was her husband? Was it Idi? Was it Asaba? Or was he the father of Idi and Asaba? Why didn't they bear Igbo names? Because at least in Ezebog today, in name is Idin Saba, we know that Umuokpolo is a small kindred. That's the direct descendant of the Isu founders of Ibuzo today, Umuokpolo. And that's the oldest kindred in Otuwolo today, Ezebog. And that also grants Idin Saba the right of headship of the other villages in other quarters or Evo in Otuwolo section. That's it. But the other people, we don't know how they got their names, where they migrated before. So these are the questions, these are part of the interrogation, internal interrogation. Every quarter in Ibuzo we answer. We try to find out within the context of their history in Ibuzo. This also comes over the name, because they're telling us what are the popular names. How far do we have the popular names in Ibuzo? Because more than okay, in Ibuzo now, I can lay hand to more than 50 popular names that are not Igbo. But they are Benin oriented. Popular names Ibuzo people bear today. Bear today. Popular in Ibuzo, you bear today, you don't know the meaning. Let me start. Uti. Uti is a popular name in Ibuzo. Uti is a popular name in Ibuzo. But Uti is the praise name of the Ezomo of Benin. Uti, that's the praise name of Ezomo of Benin. We're bearing it. We don't even know the meaning. That's from Benin. What of Aze? We have Aze. In both Umuadefe and Umuwago, Uti is widespread in all sections of Ibuzo. We have Diayi. We have Idayi. We have Ezoba. Ezoba, yes, Eze is Igbo, but Oba is Edo. Is Benin. What does it mean? It means an Eze in the likeness of Oba, or an Eze as powerful as Oba. That's Ezoba. And that's the name of the former Chief of Naval Staff of Nigeria, of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Admiral Dele Ezoba, who just buried his father a few days ago. Ezoba has been en route. You now have Igboba, like Colonel Henry Igboba, one of Ibuzo's sons of Nigerian army who died during the Civil War. Igboba, what is Igboba? Igboba is Benin. It means I seek Igbenoba. It means I seek Oba's refuge. And it's a popular name in Ibuzo. You have Odia, you have Odafe, you have Asagba, you have Eseji, you have Osaji, you have Oloto, you have Osodi, you have Igbo, you have Izabo, you have Abadi, you have Okidebe, you have Iga, you have Odi, you have Idabo, you have Oniama, you have Ajudua. Even Ajudua is an Edo name derived, Edo name of Yoruba derivative. Ajudua, like you see Fred Ajudua, from Ajudua, oh yeah, the known Fred Ajudua. So Ajudua is a Yoruba derivative of an Edo name. It's not Igbo. Nobody bears Ajudua in east of the Niger. So it's not Igbo, Ajudua. But we're bearing it without knowing the meaning. You have Old Boy, you have Odume. Odume in particular is Benin. That is the Igbo version of Odom, meaning lion. But our people choose to bear Odume instead of Southeast Odom. That is, you have EJ, you have OJ, you have Odobo, you have Obanwa. Obanwa is popular name in Ibuzo, Obanwa. You have Olibo. Olibo is popular name in Ibuzo. You have Ibodo. You have also, well, I've mentioned also, you have Osotule. Let's even take Osotule. Osotule is an Igala name. Of course, for those who are familiar with Alpha divination art, especially Ugiri and Kolanot version of Alpha divination. Osotule is one of the, one of the ritual vocabularies there. Osotule in Igala Alpha mythology means happiness, goodness. Osotule. So it's Igala derivative. And we have Osotule, a popular family in Umuadefe. Then you have Ado, which is the most senior village in Obo-Oletere, under which Umuosama is built, upon which Umuosama is built. Yes, Ado. And we know that Ado means Benin. So you have Izeze, you have Ebose, you have Esewezia, you have Ige, you have Ododo. Ododo. So when you say Ododo, yes, it can mean aqua Ododo, that is red cloth, and so on and so forth, which is also Benin. But also the common of Ododo, it means scarlet, something bright, scarlet, and so on and so forth. So it's Benin. So when you hear people talk, answering Ododo, like the one in Obowe, it is purely a Benin name. Then you are talking of Wadia. I have a Wadia in my village, Ezuku. Wadia is Benin name. Wadia is Benin name. You have also Adozele, my grandmother's name. Adozele, my own grandmother's name. Adozele from Omozele, which means a child of good luck, a child of good fortune. And why was my grandmother named Adozele? My grandmother was born a twin in 1904 at the time twins were being thrown away. 1904, twins were not allowed in my town in Ibusa. That's the grace I enjoy today. So my grandmother was a child of grace. He was born as a twin. And what happened was that they already had 2 boys, so they wanted to retain a woman. So his own twin brother was secretly taken to another village, to a woman who just had a stillbirth and whose breast was still running. So they took her twin brother there and retained my grandmother. That was why they named her Adozele, a child of God. Ordinarily, maybe I shouldn't have been born through her now. I shouldn't have come into this world. Otherwise, she should have been thrown away. They both twins. They grew up knowing each other personally, but silent within them. Even their children grew up to know each other as cousins. As cousins. So they know each other as cousins from different villages. And mother once told me, because I asked my mother one day, he was taking me to one he was too close to one chemist man and so on and so on. He was often taking me to the man to receive, as a kid, to receive some treatment. So at the time, I asked, what's the relationship to you and this man? She now told me that's her cousin, direct cousin. She now told me the story. And I remember too, when my uncle, junior uncle, was, seizing the opportunity of that closeness, was moving through the granddaughter of that's my grandmother's twin, moving closer to her, and even talking about marrying her. So when he mentioned about marrying her, the question was that, have you slept with her? He said, no. I said, please, don't do that. That was what he told. The father told, don't try that. That's your sister. You cannot marry her. You cannot sleep with her. From this moment, don't think about marrying her. So that was how my grandmother gained that name, Adozo. So every name in our traditional system had its own historical significance, better greeting, better name. So it's even time for people to also continue. Some names can come by nickname, some names can be named through circumstances and so on and so forth. But most of the names have their meanings, their significance in history. Like you have Idi, yes, Idi, you have Mose, yeah, popular names. You have Agede, you have Azoya, you have Oseneku. Osaneku is Benin because Osa is God in Benin language. It's not God, So God speaks. God is one who speaks. You have Olisaneku, the same Olisa is God in Edo, not in Igbo. So you have Olisadebe, these are Benin connected. You have Osadebe, Benin connected, even though some people from the southeast also bear Osadebe these days. But the Osa there is, refers to God. And then we look into that when we come to the question of religion by our next to the point of religion at our next topic. Then you also have Oweleke. Oweleke in Umuezago Oponta. Oweleke is a Benin name, not Igbo. You have Ajuku. Owele. Ajuku is a Benin name. But we answer these names without knowing the origin, so that when people from the southeast, when they hear Juku, they say you're answering Igbo name. You're answering Igbo name, and so on and so forth. But because we don't know the root of our names. More than 60%, let me just be a little bit conservative. More than 50% of Ibuzo personal names are what? Are Edo linked. They are Edo linked. I don't need to go into what am I saying? Yes, that's the general names. Because if I go into the general name, you find that a lot of terms we use today among ourselves are Edo direct. Like, let me just, if you say Ukoni is our traditional meaning for kitchen. That is Edo. That is Benin. Ukoni, kitchen. What do Southeast Igbo call kitchen? Ozwai. Foolish person, Ozwai. It's Benin. It's a foolish person. These are some, like like we want to mention what am I saying? Like we want to mention Uko. You are talking of Oko. That is messengers, official messengers of a meeting. Ijoko going to deliver official message. Oko is Benin, it's royal messenger or messenger of a official messenger. These are Benin terms. We use them, apply them in our Igbo language without knowing the source, the real source of those vocabularies. So that is why it is easier for people to come and say, all your names are Igbo and whatever names. But those Southeasterners who live among our people, to understand our dialects, will understand us better than those who have not ventured to live among our people. And in fact, this is just for Ibuso, the core center of Igbo identity in our normal land. This is Ibuso. Think of what it will look at when you move further westward from Ogwashuku to Abo. Can now think of the amount of Benin vocabulary. In fact, if you go to places, if you go to Eka today, the two Eka local government areas, I can say that more than 80% of their personal names are Edo. Like you have the former chief of defense staff, Irabo. Is Irabo Igbo? It's Benin. Maybe you have the owner of Arise Arise Television, Nduka Obaibene. It's not yes Nduka Obaibene, but it's Obaibene. It's Obaibene Igbo. Obaibene is Edo. It's Benin. So we have a mixture of Benin and Igbo names. So it's not a question of using just the standard of few, the standard of few standard of the appearance of few Igbo names to now join, to now use as a covering law to determine our identity through through our names.